Welcome back to the Tony Montana channel. Today, first, I'm going to answer a question that I got on my comment section, and then I'll speak a little bit about conditioning a dog, conditioning an American People Terrier. What can you do? The first, let's answer this question from AA. AA asked me he has a problem with one of his dogs. The dog, when people come around, he stops, acts a fool, and starts barking. And the person has to drag the dog because the dog doesn't listen. Okay. For that, I would first suggest having setting up that condition, setting up that situation with friends, your friends, that would probably be strange to the dog. Have them, you have a training where these individuals have food. I'm assuming the dog you're talking about is an American People Terrier. You weren't specific. This is more specific for dogs or breeds of dogs that are not naturally human aggressive, because this is happening and this is normal with even the puppies. I don't know how old is your dog. Did you mention that? The puppy could be just getting concerned that something's approaching them, even though they're not really approaching them. They might just be walking on the street, just opposite ways. But to the puppy, they're coming to confront him and you. But in this instance, I mean, he has to take care of himself, so he'll stop and say, "Oh, why are you coming towards me?" Even though they're not coming towards them. And so if you do have you could get a couple of friends, several friends, uh, have them have something that she likes, something yummy that the dog likes. So every time they come, they stay away. Uh, Would they get close enough, but let's say 4 feet, just out of range of your leash? Okay, the dog may stop and bark. The person needs to squat or go down. Don't be high, be down, try as close to their level as possible. And then reach out. The person should be reaching out with not completely reaching out enough that the dog can, because the dog is going to be away, get close enough, like almost the borderline between the leash and the person's hand. So that way there's enough that you can pull in case the dog became aggressive, which is not what it sounds like, and the person can pull away and still be safe if that, that's in the event that the dog is dog aggressive. I really again I don't know the dog, so I'm giving it to you as safe as possible. And then perhaps don't even give the person shouldn't give it to them yet. Perhaps let it get close, sniff the hand, and then say, okay, this person, I smell something yummy there inside his hand. And then he might get more curious and perhaps even try to use his paw to like scratch a hand, so like, yo, give it to me. And then let that person give that treat to the dog. And then just wait a little while, and then have like a little while, could be like a minute, 2 minutes, for the dog to just think about that. It shouldn't be all like a lot, because he might have to do it like 20 times for them. Little by little, as the more you have, the more people you have around or are able to do this with, the better, because then the dog is going to associate these giant beings that look like you, the owner, as something positive rather than something potentially dangerous to the dog. Okay. If you want to continue this, you could send me videos, and I could see what's going on, because really I only see a couple letters from you, and that's it. I will be able to see more from the dog acting and being himself or itself, and I'll be able to help you better that way. Okay, so AA, do send me an email. Do send me something to what's my email is apbtstudservice@gmail.com. Again, apbtstudservice@gmail.com. Again, I'm not charging you anything. I'm not looking to charge you. I'm just whatever makes the life of a dog and its owner better. I'm gonna do that. I'm happy to help the owners of American People Terriers and even of non-American People Terriers live better. If I can help it in one way or another, I'll be more than happy to do that. Okay, so now let's move to the conversation of. Oh, it's already 5 minutes. The conversation of conditioning. I didn't want to make it that long, so I'll make it a little shorter, I guess. Let's see how short this is going to be. Okay, conditioning. You have to remember, you have to realize what you're conditioning for. So there's different types of conditioning. Obviously, there's conditioning just as a pet, just for the dog to have a certain level of energy. So that type of conditioning really doesn't have to be too complex. Walking the dog is pretty much it. And it really depends also on how the dog walks, because the dog that walks beside you isn't going to expend the same type of energy, the same level of energy than a dog that pulls all the time, or pulls most of the time, or pulls 3/4 of the way. Those individual dogs are going to spend a completely different amount of energy, and you have to have more care for the one that pulls all the time, because that's the dog that's going to overdo it. So and for you have to find out. That's the beauty of having dogs, finding out their limits. Find out their limits when there's no reason. There's nothing you're doing it for. A lot of people get the dog hurt when they really have to do some sort of competition, whatever that may be. Like one of those new events that have the wall jumping, the wall climbing, I think it's called. You got to have a lot of conditioning for that, I assume. And there's other type of weight pulling competitions. The treadmill. I like to mention it. And obviously, if you're working, I don't know what states still have like hog catching, or I don't know if that's still legal in some states. But in another country, whatever the activities there in those countries that you invent for your dogs, just to work them, you have to really find out what you're conditioning for, and do find out the limits when you don't need to condition, when you're just testing yourself, learning. If you're learning, maybe you're learning, this is your first dog, so to have fun with and condition them just for the heck of having them look the best condition possible. Okay, so that is one of the things. One of the things you have to also learn is that, especially if you're doing it by yourself, you don't have people that are helping you out, like experienced dog people, then you really have to test what you're doing. Okay, you have to test what you're doing. If you're doing it and not checking, for example, your blood work or the urine work, you have to check to see if what you're doing in conditioning, in combination with the nutritional part of the workout conditioning, you have to find out how well they're combining. And the place will give you the test results. Okay, you can Google what they give you. Obviously, they give you the test results and what what they mean. The high, low. That's like a legend, they call it, or something that gives you the perimeters, the normals, for each thing that they tested. And then you can, this is part of being a dog person. This is not just, it isn't just, petting the dog and giving it a bath. It's also learning this, also learning all the values and what their relationship is, like the calcium, phosphorus, everything that needs to be done. What what needs to be given. For example, if a dog is not acting properly because of joints hurt, what you should be supplementing with. All these little things are part of the beauty of having these dogs. Beautiful things of or learning things about the dog. So this is just coming. This, I guess, this is such a long topic, and I'm already 10 minutes. I can't believe it. I thought it was going to take me a lot. I would have been done by now, but this is a long topic, and I think that the preliminary work is as important as the conditioning. So you first testing the dog's blood, how it is before testing making it a fun part of your life. Seeing before you start let's call the work. Let's use the word keep. It's one of those words that people think is taboo, but in reality, it's just historical term that we are now using for identifying a conditioning program. Okay, putting them in the keep is a conditioning program, and and part of it is just you learning to become a better owner, better conditioner using these dogs. So, like I said, first you blow work at the beginning, blow work in the middle, and blow work at the end. Whatever you set yourself, don't do it crazy, because you're learning. So don't kill your dog conditioning them for no reason, and pay attention to the dog. Don't everything is. Remember, it's not about you, it's about the dog, but it's about you, the part that is learning. But the dog is your teacher, is your gauge, is telling you, like the thermometer, don't let it burst, okay? Keep it, keep checking. The dog will not show soreness probably until the next day. Depending on if it was a tough day, like people in conditioning when they work out, it's called a heavy day, but for dogs, and make sure that you have the correct supplement, because if you're going to be targeting X, Y, or Z about the dog in the conditioning, try to have supplements that will help those sections. If it's something to do with joints, there's going to be a lot of effort to the joint, then you do give them joint supplements. There's fish supplements. They're natural. I believe that it's a combination of glucosamine and DMT. I'm not looking them up. I'm just thinking of as part of the conversation. But you have to look at that type of things and pay attention. Look at their eyes, the coloration of their eyes, not the coloration, but the whiteness of their eyes. Look at the gums. Make sure that when you're conditioning them, it's their day of work, you work them, but don't overdo it. And you're not gonna know until you overdo it once or twice. But pay attention, learn your lesson when you do it. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me just jump into something else because I don't like doing long videos. So once you've done that, you already know what you're doing in terms of what not you're doing, but what where your dog is in terms of health. Obviously, the dog should be no type of worms, no fleas. Of course, this should be no matter what, obviously. But I'm just hitting on the redundant, obvious things. So the dog should be healthy. Dog should be healthy and should not, obviously, don't be doing this on a puppy. I don't think puppies, especially, the most you could do with a puppy is just walk them. That's it. Okay? No weights, none of that stupidness. Weights should only be done, very short amounts of period and for a specific type of work that isn't going to potentially injure joints, or depending on where you have it, the neck, for example. If you have a weighted collar, I prefer actually a weighted vest over a collar, because some people, put the weighted collar at the tip between like the head and where the head meets the neck. That weighted collar should not be there. The weighted collar should be at the base of the neck, by like kind of resting on the shoulders, because it should be there. Not it's not a weighted collar for the neck. It's a weighted collar, but it's not to be focused on the neck. If you have it on the where the head meets the neck, there's higher potential of the dog getting injured. Okay, so don't do that. All right. When you're conditioning, these are some things that I guess I'm not going to do the video the way I wanted to be. It's already 15 minutes. When you condition the dog, make sure that you're paying attention to when the dog starts to breathe heavy, or starts to breathe with the mouth open. Okay, you have to keep track of these things. How long does it take him to go from breathing normally to breathing with their mouth open, or when they start more like sticking the tongue out, kind of thing. And definitely when some people say that don't get them as tired as having their tongue to the side. I'm not too sure about that. I think depending, obviously, don't go overdo it, but once in a while, seeing that white saliva, white phlegm that comes out once in a while, that white phlegm, that's actually good. Not all the time. Don't do it like that. That should be your heavy days. Yeah, a little white phlegm that's actually good. Not all the time, like I said, but that's actually good. Anyway, this is getting too long. But perhaps another time I'll mention some more. And this is just I guess this is the pre-keep conditioning advice, because we didn't get it all the way to the actually conditioning or keeping. But again, this is the important part, is learning that your vet or somewhere you can do blood work on the dog is going to be your best friend if you're starting on your own. Okay, this is Tony Montana. Until next time.